Hey legends, I am back in the lands of the living and we are trying to ramp things back up to normal. And right now we're going to take you through our round 10 fantasy results just quickly after what can be described as one of the weirdest, most annoying weekends to be a fantasy player. And when you see my team, you will completely understand why. So with that in mind, let's get into it. Okay, here we go. So let's just go through the stats. In round 10, we scored 716 points, which overall wasn't too bad. Not amazing, but not too bad. Could have been a whole lot better and certainly could have been a whole lot worse, that's for sure. Now, overall score is 7,488 with an overall rank, a very painful 38,219, and we have 16 trades sitting in the bank ready to go. Now let's just go through the team quickly because there were a whole bunch of underperforming superstars that are just starting to give me the absolute poops. And I think, look, we really have to start in the halves because I have the two superstar halves of the game. And the reality is they both just fell over into a heap on the weekend. Nathan Cleary, in the end, he only got the 39 points. So, I walk away with his 78 captaincy points, which is really painful. And I thought at that point on the weekend that it was over. But then Nico Hines goes down and doesn't even take the field. Now, if you did captain Nico Hines, it really came down to that second option, that VC option that you had on the table. Now, I didn't do that. I captained Cleary. It was looking good for about 35, 36 minutes, but just wasn't meant to be. But look, reality is my team and the issues that I have in my team aren't just solely at the feet of these two superstars. We start up on top. You've got Harry Grant with his 34. Getting the world's most ridiculous sin bin is atrocious, as is that 34 points. And even without the sin bin, he probably goes on to score less than 50 points. So Harry Grant is just not himself this year. He doesn't have that really high ceiling, which has been a little bit frustrating and a little bit disappointing. But generally speaking, that hooker position just hasn't fired this year. And, players like Reed Marnie are probably doing really well. Reece Robson, and maybe even a little bit of a smoky is Damien Cook or Jeremy Marshall-King. So it's really anyone's guess as to who the hooking superstar is going to be in 2024. And will the real Harry Grant stand up, please? Because he is just delivering some absolutely uncharacteristic scores at the moment, and it's very, very frustrating. Now, Ruben Cotter, really happy with his 57. I was starting to get worried with his sub 50 scores, but in the last couple of weeks, he has really stepped up, and I definitely can't complain about that score of 57, that's for sure. Max Plath, 32 with the HIA. That was a little bit frustrating for Maxi. Fingers crossed he is announced in the TLT and does take the field this weekend. If not, we've got to work on a contingency. Unfortunately, I had to run with Sam Hughes and he got an average score for him of around about 30 points. Not amazing, not brilliant, but did plug the hole. KPP with his 32, he only played, I think, about 40 minutes or so. As I understand it, it's just a rest week for him. And he should be back to play near on the full 80 minutes this weekend in Magic Round. Now, the other player that we do need to talk about, a player for everyone, is Angus Crichton, 78, absolute superstar. If you don't have him, that is a tragedy. He is now starting to deliver some amazingly consistent plus 60, plus 70 points week in and week out. Now, that's not always going to happen. He's been lucky to score a few tries, but he just keeps showing up, and players that show up and get themselves in the right position are going to do exactly that. They're going to score tries. So well done, Angus Crichton. At the end of the day, you are probably saving my team right now, so thank you very much. Heroes 30, not amazing, but I'll take it. A little bit underwhelming from Joey Manu, who we bought in last week. I probably went a week or two early on Manu, and of course I'm making the assumption that Tedesco is going to be named for State of Origin. But what I've liked about Mano is he is delivering some decent and consistent points week in and week out. So I just wanted him in my team. I love his center wing fullback dual flexibility. So we brought him in. I think he will be a very handy player to own over the bye rounds. Next up, we've got Scotty Drinkwater with a disgraceful 28 in what can only be described as a disgusting performance from the North Queensland Cowboys. They just weren't in that game at all until like the 65th minute. And as much as Drinky tried, he just didn't get the chocolates on the weekend. I really think that North Queensland team need to have a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror and show up and play for 80 minutes. Next up, Turbo. I guess not too bad for his 44. He is now injured, which is frustrating and will be a trade out this week. Trey Fuller, 61. Amazing. Loving that from Trey Fuller. I really hope he gets the gig this weekend. And into State of Origin, and obviously over that entire State of Origin bye round period, I think like a lot of people, we would love to see Trey Fuller get a full-time gig in that Dolphins team, that's for sure. Moving on to the reserves, Lockie Galvin, 41, decent without being amazing. Jaden Brayley, 48, absolutely take that. Thank you, Jaden Brayley. You'll continue to make us some money. Armstrong down at the Knights and his 42, not too bad at all. We're sweating on Team List Tuesday and hoping that Armstrong is okay to play. That remains to be a question mark, but for me, he is an easy in for Turbo. And I guess that then wouldn't force us to make a trade that we don't want to make, because I'm looking at mids this week, which is one of the reasons we brought in McKaylee, not because he is an amazing fantasy player. In fact, he's not really, but he does give us pretty decent buy coverage. He's only 319k. He's a PPM beast. He just needs the minutes, and I'm hoping over that State of Origin period, he will get more minutes, and hopefully he can accelerate that money-making potential, that's for sure. And then we can move him on post-State of Origin. Brendan Piakura and his disgraceful 8 in near on 80 minutes, I think it was. So right now, he's just going to be one of those players that we probably have to hold. He's not making money, he's not losing a hell of a lot of money, and we've got some issues elsewhere. But I've got to admit, he's probably the dud buy of the season at this particular point in time. Unless he can turn things around pretty quickly, then scores like 8 and 0 I think he's had in the past. Really, really horrible scores. It's something we definitely have to keep an eye on. And if a 230k cheapie emerges, then we might have to move him on at some stage. But really disappointed with Brendan Piakura at the moment. Salmon, it is definitely time for a sell if he's only going to produce scores like 23. We know Preston is back into that doggies team. Ideally, I'd probably love to hold Salmon just at least into that first major buy round, round 13. I don't think he's going to make us much more money, 447k. I'm hoping he doesn't lose too much money, but he just gives us some decent coverage over round 13 and 14 in particular, and then we can look to move him on. It's a similar kind of scenario with Ethan Strange, 444k. He's probably peaked in terms of his money-making potential, but he does cover us for round 13, and we can probably look to move him on in round 14. And poor Jesse Arthurs sits down the bottom with his broken jaw. He's out for a little while and will look to be moved on probably this week or next week, depending on how many trades we want to make. So just clearing the board, the big trades that we want to make this week essentially are going to be Cleary. We need to get rid of him. Turbo, we need to get rid of him. So that's going to free up, what's that, about $1.5 million. And then we've got Jesse Arthurs over here as well. So all up, we're looking at just shy of $2 million that we are looking to move on either this week or next. Now, I don't want to make any irrational trades. I think, we're down to 16. We've got to make smart decisions going into the buy round. We are absolutely running out of trades. If I look at a couple of areas of weakness now that are starting to emerge, we absolutely need some mids. I think that is essential at this point in time. We probably need to make a decision on Harry Grant and whether we're going to keep him long term. I'd probably love to upgrade to a Reece Robson at this point in time. There's a high degree of risk in Angus Crichton. I think he could actually end up playing State of Origin. Ruben Cotter, we know that he is off for State of Origin. Harry Grant, of course. Kai Pearce-Pyle, we want him back playing 80 minutes. Nico Hines is probably going to be playing State of Origin. Iro is probably a lock for Neron the entire season, or at least over this State of Origin period, that's for sure. Manu, we're going to continue with. Drinky, I don't think he's going to play State of Origin. And Fuller, I think, gets to cover for the Hammer at least over the Origin period. So we've got a few decisions to make there. Now, edges-wise, I think I'd like at least one more. I think that would be absolutely helpful. Halves, I think I'm okay and have most of the bye rounds covered with the team that I have. Keep in mind, I've got Maxi Plath, we've got Lockie Galvin, we've got Ethan Strange, and we may pick up a KO Weeks as well. So that would give us, I think, significant coverage in that halves position. Center is okay. I think I would love at least one more player that has some flexibility to cover both center and wing fullback. If I can get someone like maybe a Ruben Garrick or a Karaz from the Doggies, I think that then gives me the flexibility to move a couple of players around as we need them. And then hopefully we can use some of these bench players like McKaylee to plug a couple of holes, Armstrong if we need to, Brayley for the State of Origin period, Salmon gives us some flexibility, Hughes over here gives us some degree of coverage as well. So it's not too bad in terms of what we can do over the next few weeks. But we really have to get in a couple of players that are going to deliver us some more significant scores than we are currently achieving, because we're just hovering around this mid 30k mark, and it's time to make some moves. It's getting very, very frustrating in 2024, that's for sure. So there you go, guys. Look, that is my team for the week. I can't wait for Team List Tuesday. A lot of you have given me some great feedback around really liking the in-depth version, but wanting something quicker and easier to digest as well. So we may do one of those express videos this week. Everyone seemed to really appreciate and respond to the one that I had to pump out in Perth, just because simply I just didn't have the time last week. So we might end up doing kind of the full buy, hold, sell version and then a buy, hold, sell express or something like that into round 11. So there you go, guys. Look, if you liked the video, you know what to do. Smash that like button for me. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, guys, get involved in the conversation via the comment section down below. And I'll see you all in the next video.